comments, but one really caught my eye. And Matt, I wanted to bring it to your attention because you posted it. Matt, you said you are excited about designing and building a closet in your fairly new house. Explain yourself. Are you what's going on? You have an empty closet that has like no shelves, no
Yeah,
nothing.
I
So it's
have
a
I have
if you will, dare I say, it's greenfield.
oh, it's the greenest of fields. It's a rectangular room with nothing. No electricity,
Like,
no overhead lighting.
explain this. Is it a closet that's just never been built out, or is it like,
Yeah.
is this like
Yeah,
a,
it's listed as a dressing room. But it's right off the master bedroom, and it has nothing built in. So, and it's like I guess it's I guess I'm trying to go. Wow, I'm having a hard time going from metric to standing. It's like 8 feet by 6 feet.
okay,
That
okay. So take me
yeah.
through the process. It sounded like, from my deep research here, which again, reading your Slack message was that you're going with like some type of IKEA based
Well,
design and implementation. Like, what are we doing? Are we putting out bids to contractors?
no. I mean the local like Home Depot has a couple of lines of
Mm-hmm.
built-in closet stuff. So and then each one of those has a designer tool. Um, and it's just like a completely commoditized space. It's kind of neat that brands you've never heard of, you go to their website and they're like, design the closet of your dreams, and you pick your parts and then move things around in their webcam thing. And
Does it let
I
you
found
like
that.
put in your the dimensions of
Oh
your
yeah, yeah,
space
yeah.
and like you can
Dimensions,
like, okay.
colors, and then they have their total inventory, and you drag and drop things and rotate them and slide them around,
Uh-huh.
um, and of course, it's not exactly what I want, right? Because I'm like, no, 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 I want the closet racks,
Mm-hmm.
here, and you don't have those in stock, and so it's a little bit of mix and match, but
Now, are you gathering requirements? Is this going to be
pretty
shared with
much,
your
yeah,
wife? I take
yeah.
it.
Oh well, yes.
It,
She's like, I don't care, and I was like, boom,
ooh,
that's ooh, yeah.
it's
No, no, no,
I
no. I'll go for
be
final
very
approval.
careful there. I don't care until I this does not hold what I want. That would be that could be
Yes.
very perilous.
Well, the
So
key is to give them most of the space.
now I have a question. How are you determining? Are you doing like, how I think a lot of closets, they sort of have like like what we call that, like the high hanging, so you can have like long, like, I don't know, dresses and things that
Yep,
are
yep.
long. You have some of that, and then you kind of have like half and half, right? Where
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and like,
Yeah, so
are you doing that all out? Like, are there rules
oh
of
yeah.
thumb? How do you determine like how much double stack versus long
Well,
hanging do you need?
you look at what you already have.
Oh, okay. I like it. So this is like you're like
A
porting
little pro
over.
tip.
You're porting over what you have.
No, 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 no.
Uh-huh.
This is I'm doing a V2, right? I'm doing a
Okay.
V2. And I but V1 is a complete mess. It's spread across multiple rooms. We've
Okay.
got we've got shelves that are in different different. I've got closets in my office that I'm using for my clothes, right?
Got
And
it.
so, so I have to like trek downstairs, grab some clothes, bring them back upstairs. That kind of stuff not going to happen in this new one, right? Because so I've gathered my requirements were gathered. I figured out how much
Right.
storage we're currently using.
And also,
Trying to
it's clear that you've acknowledged you have a lot of closet debt. Kind of like technical debt, closet debt. You're like, I see where I've got a couple different things kind of strung out. I need to rewrite this, consolidate it together. I also like the fact that you've gone through, you've measured it out. Now, my other question is like, what about like, will you have, like, I think most of them have like, you have the shelf on top of the hanging thing. Are you
Yep,
working
yep.
that out as
Oh
well?
yeah, absolutely,
Okay. All right.
absolutely. Like right, so imagine if you will, we got like kind of a. I mean, the room is technically a rectangle, but it's got a door and it's got a one of those
Yes. You got some
glass
spaces
brick windows,
you
so
got to
it does
leave
have the
open,
sunlight.
right? Uh-huh.
Yeah, and it's got at the bottom of the rectangle is the door to the bathroom. So it's got two. It's got a walk in because it's a walk
Hmm.
in closet room, and then a door to the bathroom. So that wall's unused. So it's essentially like a U, and then I'll just put um, you know the tallest cabinet space they have. Load them up with drawers. The bottom half. Do that 3 times, and then put bars between them, and make sure that there's one of them is high bar only, so it can hang dresses.
I like it. Okay, so you got the high bar, you got your split bars, you got some drawers. Now, what is going to be, because listen, let's be honest, Matt, we know who you are. Like, what's going to be your upgrade? What's your special upgrade in the closet? You're going to be like, and I'm adding this. I'm getting like, I'm doubling the RAM. Like, what is the equivalent thing in a closet? Like, are you going to put like a special light in there? You're going to put in some
Well, yeah,
home
yeah.
automation, maybe a
No,
server
no.
rack, like what's going to be in
Not in
there?
this room. Not in this
Okay.
room. The server rack goes somewhere else. No, this is strictly closed. But I mentioned there's no electricity in it, so I do have, what they call a Sparky, who I'm talking to. I'm going to get some power dropped in there so I can put some lighting into the cabinetry. So
All right. Well, everyone, we wish Matt well in his closet redesign. So if you have suggestions what Matt should do, you should send them into questions at
there's not that much you can
softwaredefinetalk.com.
do, right? It's close.
I don't know. Like we got a lot of feedback this week. We'll get to that a little bit later, Matt, with some suggestions for Matt. But you know what? I'm just like, and also too, like we do have a sponsor this week. You're gonna hear him in just a second. But I got to be honest, like we're probably one of the few tech podcasts that could use like a closet sponsor. So like if you're out there, California closets, if there's someone local in Sydney, Australia that wants to like do a deal for Matt, like we can find our way past our ethics to have Matt like have a beautiful new closet built
I
out.
mean,
And I
I'm
think it would
not.
be great.
I like the design tools at IKEA the best. I'm not, sold on all their product lines, but that I'm willing to be flexible.
All right, perfect. This week, if you're listening to the Software Defined Talk podcast in the audio, you're going to hear a nice ad for our friends over at Fork Around and Find Out. That's one of the podcasts that we like, and you should go listen to it. So if you hear this in YouTube, go subscribe to it. But you won't hear this in the actual audio. So it's secret. It's a secret ad. If it is, it's such an ad. So, all right, man, you ready? You ready to get into the real topics? Ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Well, Matt, you have been a part of many acquisitions, right? But I don't think you've been part of an acquisition quite like this. So it's one of these things that's happened so much this week that even talking about it now means something new will happen by the time this one comes out. But as we've all been following, Windsurf was, if you will, acquired by OpenAI. Then it was, if you will, not acquired. That was off. All the
Spit out.
CEO and all the technical staff left the company to go to Google. Google got a license, for Windsurf, leaving the company in like, I guess we'd call it like a quasi zombie state, at least for like 24, 48 hours.
It's like a chicken
Before
without a
which,
head.
Cognition, maker of AI coding agent Devin, acquired the rest of Windsurf and as I read, all of the employees that were still remaining within the company. So if you want to hear more about this, you should, I'm just going to this is like very self-referential here. Like I did a podcast with our friend Brian Gracely on the Cloudcast. So you can go listen to that one. We broke a lot of that down, but wanted to get your take. Now that the dust has settled a little bit, I think there was, as we talked about with Brian and many other people, it seemed like this is the absolute worst outcome for employees, right? Like, I mean, just being left at a zombie startup. But
Well, we don't know
maybe
what
maybe the place
Cognition
to start here
Yeah.
is just like at the end of the day, let's putting aside the CEO and Nintendo staff that went to Google. They did well. Okay, we're going to take them out of the equation. I'm telling you, putting aside that, like, did the remaining Windsurf people going to Devon, do you think they're in a good spot going forward, or is this just kind of like, if you will, a temporary relief from probably a bad spot? What do you think?
Well, the problem I have, I mean, I feel bad for them. Sometimes acquisitions don't turn out well. I'm familiar with that. But also, I've barely heard of Devon, and so it's not like you went from Windsurf, the people who were left went to Microsoft to work on GitHub, or I mean to work on Copilot, or they went to one of the other ones that are like top of mind. It's like, no offense, Devin, but I mean, you're not in the conversation right now. Maybe this is their chance to jumpstart that, jump back into the thick of things. But also, like the people who left for Google, like they were considered the wunderkinds, right? They were like, oh, these are the ones who are, we're going to pay these guys, 10 million a year, 100 million a year, whatever. Um, so didn't this almost happen with? I feel like this isn't the first. Well, I guess it almost happened with OpenAI, right? Microsoft was like, fine, we'll take Altman, and and we'll just hire up the brain drain, or the brain trust, and drain it. Didn't happen, but that's
I believe like
the.
character AI was one that I think Microsoft basically like shelled out, and they took like
Oh
the
yeah,
CEO.
yeah.
So it's happened. There's been a couple of
But
these,
usually,
not
usually
to
they.
quite this scale though, right? They're not quite as this. I don't think there's been this many people at one of the companies. Maybe someone will correct
Right.
us if we're wrong, but like normally it's like the team is 20. Maybe 7 people get hired and 13
Right.
or
Yeah.
maybe get
Yeah.
some money. And it's a little bit softer landing, right?
It's like a
When you got
WhatsApp with 8 people, right?
yeah, I think when you got something like at least the chart I saw was they, Windsurf had hired, customer success, sales, they basically 400 2 to 400 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like I mean it's a reasonable amount of people who are just suddenly like, okay, like what are we going to do now?
But as somebody who works in customer success, is like that's a cog, right? I mean, maybe they got some really. I'm sure they have some really great people familiar with the latest cutting tech, because that's an exciting place to be. But um, they're not writing the product, and at this stage in those products' life, you need a lot of that. Those people, hopefully they're getting a good deal out of it, because they're in a good spot. They're coming from a hot part of the market, so if they need to relocate, they're in a better spot than a lot of other folks, right?
Mhm.
It's not like they're like, oh, I got 40 years of Fortran. It's like, no, you're coming out of the hottest spot in the market right now,
I don't know.
and
Fortran, maybe it's point. Maybe it's in demand. I don't know. 40 years of
hey,
Fortran is probably pretty helpful.
I took
So.
it off my resume for a reason.
That's right. Who will forget the line numbers? So, I do think though, there's been a lot of talk about this seems just bad for the whole industry. Like the fact that because like as we all talk about, we talked about a lot, right? And like work, company culture and stuff. It's talked about a lot about so many times. It's like it's not about the money, it's about the mission, and people say this and stuff like that, and it's just like I kind of sometimes these moments I think I like them because they just sort of like reveal the naked capitalism that we live in, and the fact that like for whatever reason in tech, it's like we're just sometimes afraid to just be like it's about the money. Like you
Yeah.
don't have this problem in Wall Street in finance. Like no one is ever just like I'm
No one's
doing
ever
these
like, I thought you had a lot of loyalty to
right.
Morgan Stanley, and like,
It's
no.
clear. It's like no. The whole trading team could literally walk out of door of Morgan Stanley, go to the Goldman Sachs, and everyone's like, "Yeah, we understand." Like, there's no we get it. They paid you more, right? Or something else. So like a boutique trading group. It's like we totally get it, but like in tech, we're just constantly. I feel like we're just like afraid to like embrace this. So that's the one thing I guess I like about this deal is just like, yeah, it's really about the money, right? And it's just like,
Absolutely.
but it's okay. I feel like it should be okay for us to say that. Like it's not like wrong. It's like we get it. Like the people, like I really can't fault the Windsurf team if they were offered life changing generational wealth to leave and go to Google. Like I think we would all
Yeah.
do it, right?
I,
We
I
would all
mean,
take it, and we'd all be like, and I don't even maybe we'd feel bad, but we'd be like, well, I have to take this. I mean, I'm not
well,
going to be angry about it.
Kote's not here, so let's talk sports. I mean, this is what's happening to college football right now in front of us. All of the like, school spirit and loyalty stuff is kind of slowly, quickly being stripped away. Where people are like, look, you tell an 18-year-old kid they can make $5 million in 3 years, they're gonna take it, right? This is life changing at that stage in your life. It's because a lot of times it's not going to the kid, it's going to their families, right? And so we're seeing like, and then there's a lot of like hair pulling of like oh what this is ruining the sport. It's like this was already kind of in there in the weeds, and it wasn't top. Everybody was like no school I've got what happened to school loyalty and stuff. It's like this is individuals making choices for themselves. They're if you can make those and those ancillary benefits, good enough that you will overcome, oh, I like, Georgia better than Florida or whatever. Fine. You do that your way. But when it comes to like working, you have to decide for yourself, where do I want to spend 40 hours a week for the next, 2 to 3 years? Yeah, yeah. And I have to put food on my table and pay a mortgage and all that stuff. It's nice to like talk about family stuff, but at the end of the day, it's like it's business.
It
They call
is,
it
and
business for a reason.
and also too, like, because again, as you noted, Cote's not here, so we can talk about it. But like when we watch like college football, like and we're all getting excited because it's about to return in the next month, so that's exciting for you and me and Brian Gracely and the three
Cote
other
or
people
football.
and the three other people that that like college football to this podcast. But like when we really like distill it down to like who usually wins the national championship, it's the teams that usually have the most money and pay the players generally the most. And it's like, but again, like we're going to be watching college football and we're going to be hearing from the announcers all this week. It's like, the culture and the leadership that this person that
Well,
brings to the
that's
room
still there
is,
too, right?
I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's not, it's like, sure, it's not like it's not important at all, but it's usually about the money, right? The money
Yeah.
is the big thing. And I think, again, it's just kind of comes back to this over and over. Now, the other thing I wanted to get your take on, because there's been a lot of talk too, it's like, well, is this sort of, if you will, the future because of this, if you will, looming antitrust, right? People are afraid to acquire companies because of antitrust would prevent them from closing deals. So people kind of think, well, maybe this is the future. I kind of personally feel like this is just a unique situation. I don't think in tech, at least in the time that we've really been doing it, where there's been such a specialized skill set where it's kind of viewed as like, I just want that skill and everything around that skill is for the most part, not as valuable. And this,
Yeah.
that being AI research, like most of the time you're buying the company because they have a product and that product has had some reasonable amount of success you're trying to build on, right? You can't just, you don't, in fact, if anything, it's the opposite. It's like, I want your product. I don't necessarily want any of the people that built it, right? Or those are less important,
A
right? And
lot, yeah, a lot of
because,
times. And now we're on the flip because nobody has a solid product,
right. So do
or
you,
or they have products, but they're still very fluid.
right. And it's more like, I just want that because there's just a belief that these researchers will like, if you will, crack the code of this thing. So I kind of feel like this is just an unusual moment. I don't think this is going to, if you will, like 4 or 5 years from now, one of two things will happen. Either the AI stuff will have sort of like fizzled out and like we'll just kind of have LLMs and it'll just kind of return to calm, or we're going to see, and this is what I would assume, everyone that's even remotely interested in AI going to college, we're going to see this incredible influx of like people that have been trained in AI completing their masters or PhDs. There's going to be
But they're
like,
not.
yeah, there's going to
Yeah.
be tons of people coming in 3 to 5 years. Cause I mean, this is like, because of the insane amount of money. So like one of those things will happen. So, cause there isn't going to be like, I just don't think there's going to be this glut, or not, I shouldn't say glut, it's sort of like this need for talent like this. So something will happen. Either we don't need as much, or like the market will, if you will, produce groups of AI researchers that can come in, and we'll get back to like, if you will, somewhat of a normal hiring cycle. Thoughts?
I'm gonna play the contrarian here and say AI is making worse students coming out of college who will not be able to pick up the mantle of next developers.
So you're going from like AI is rotting the brains of the youth, if you will.
Yes, I'm saying AI is making sure that there aren't good AI researchers in the future.
It's sort of like, therefore AI sort of like almost like protects itself, like only the generation
Well,
that
maybe.
mhm.
I think there's going to be a lot of that. I think we're already starting to see like the death of junior developers, right? So
Mhm.
people coming out of school are going to have a hard time getting into the future. Um, yeah, comment from the chat, strip mining the future. I think that's what's happening. We've article after article about college students, using nothing but Chat GPT and having a hard time like putting together coherent thoughts. But AI will do it for you. Well, that's great to get you out of college, but then when you get out of college, there aren't a lot of openings for new roles. All the money's getting spent on senior developers who have a lot of experience or have skins on the wall that show that they can pick up the technologies and move with it. I think there's going to be a hard time for people entering the market, which is why we are seen a premium paid on these sorts of folks. I think there's going to be a premium for a while. I think if you are, um, I say this as someone who's not, listening to themselves well enough. I think if you're in the developer space, you should embrace these tools as well as possible, and use your experience at being a really good developer slash product manager, project manager, and lean into this. I know how to get good quality software out, even if I'm not the one writing it, and that's just something that like it takes experience, and we're blocking people from getting real experience. You tell the AI to do your homework, you haven't learned anything. You haven't gone down all the dumb dead ends, and wasted time on compiler flags at 2 a.m. because it just did it for you, and it spit out some homework, and you turned it in, and you didn't actually learn anything. And when you go to a hire and you have a technical interview and you don't get AI to do the answers for you, you're going to fail. And there are only a small number of openings anyway. So I think like we're not, we're not setting ourselves up well for success. We're teaching
All
people
right.
how to like consume.
So because I think that's fair. That's fair. Now I want to bring you back to, because I mean I was a little bit worried, like old men, old men looking at the youth, and it's like I guess I kind of come at it a little bit differently. I kind of think to myself, like, since the beginning of time, there have been ways to, if you are not interested in, if you will, applying yourself in academics, there's been ways for you to kind of skate through, right? Not do your, like, read the cliff notes, not the book, if you will, maybe get some help or have someone write your papers. Like, there's lots of ways. We don't need to
Yeah,
outline all the ways it could go. So I think though, like, to give, like, the up and coming group, a little bit of credit, it's like they're going to have the same collection of people, right? They're going to have some people that
true.
sort of want to skate through, but I think you're going to also have a group of people that are going to leverage AI to learn things faster, right? Because that's
Oh,
sort of
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
and I think that's the group that, to me, and I think this is like, I think we're both parents. I know we're both parents. I'm sure like many people listening to this, like, I mean, that's just kind of what the parenting 101 is like. You just kind of tell your kids, like, listen, yes, you can take all of these shortcuts, but in the end, it's not really going to help you, right? It's sort of like, if you will have the skills, the critical thinking, and you want to go get any type, and that doesn't even have to be a tech job, any type of job, right? This is what you're going to need to do. And like, some kids will hear that and completely ignore you and go, do the minimum and, find a way through. I think other kids, like, they take that to heart, and, they're, and again, every school, right? There's a group of like high achieving academic kids that want to do it. So I just look at that group of high academic achieving kids today, that who are interested in this, like, it seems like they will naturally find their way into AI, right? Just because it's just the new thing that is both has a lot of financial upside, and right now today it has a lot of promise. Now we'll see if that plays out. So I just think to myself, it's like there are going to be, I don't feel like, as if you will, as negative about it. I feel like there will always be groups of kids that want to achieve academically, and frankly, those are the people we need to invent. When this version of AI has taken over the world, we will probably need those up and coming young professionals to invent something else that saves us from what we're probably doing now, right? So maybe that's like the ultimate way to look at it. Thoughts on
So for,
that? Is that too Pollyanna? Is that too optimistic?
no, no, no. You're the Whitney Houston here. You believe the children are the future, and I'm saying like, the middle's gonna pull them down. We're probably both right. I think there's definitely going to be people who embrace this and use it to accelerate their learning and their potential. And then they're going to get hired by Facebook for 5 million a year. I mean, that's what's going to happen. And then the best and brightest of our future of our youth are going to turn into like making better advertising.
Making better ads on the internet. That is possible. True. Now, there was a great podcast this week over at the Changelog, and one of the things, it was an interview with the CEO of DX, and basically it's developer experience. And so they do a lot of research into understanding how AI actually affects the productivity of developers. And so, pretty shocked by their findings. I listened to the whole podcast. I recommend you do. The highlight was that the researchers estimated only a 21% improvement in actual speed. So I guess the net of it is they did some testing. Like, one group of people got the AI tools, and the other group of people had their, if you will, just their standard development. And they were asked to implement some, I don't know, some kind of log management thing or something like that. So I was really pretty surprised. And there was another study that they cited, I guess, GitHub Copilot, found that it was a 26% increase in AI. So I think these things are very small in comparison to what I would have guessed. What's your
Really?
initial reaction to these numbers?
Maybe high. I think reading through uh, the GitDX article, um, it said that the developers who coded the most saw the most gains.
Hmm.
And what I see in most organizations is developers don't actually spend a lot of time doing focused development. They're getting jumped across lots of different topics, meetings, that kind of stuff. Everyone wants to be in the flow, of course, but that doesn't happen enough. And what this is kind of saying is like, if you give those folks a chance to code, they can be very productive. But um, and a lot of organizations that doesn't happen. They're just, for whatever reason, there's interruptions. You're making them drive to work, that kind of stuff. I just think, like, if you try to take improvements across the industry, there's a lot of like people in the industry who don't act, who have the title of developer, who don't spend a lot of time developing. So you give them some AI tools, they're like, great. I didn't really know. I have to like recenter. They have to recenter themselves every time they sit in front of an IDE to figure out, like, okay, Ruby, okay, Go. I know this. Because that's me. That's me. Like, honestly, if I sit down, it's going to take me, an hour or two just to figure out, what I was that I know, and get
And what you
going.
have to look
Because
up,
if I just
right?
tell an AI to start writing stuff, it's going to give me a bunch of things, and I'll be like, okay, I can commit and go and call it a day. But that's just going to pile up technical debt, which turns into dragging down this task completion. If there's day two on this stuff, I need to have a better, you know, floor. I need to be more well established in what my, in development, to use these tools. I think they're great. When I get into the flow of things and I see the improvements, I don't
Hmm.
disagree with that, but also there's enough like noise and wrongness getting into the mix where I'm like, I need to I need to pay close attention. And if your time is fractured, you're not paying close attention. And so you can commit a lot of code. Don't worry about that, right? But quality,
Well, another thing I was kind of looking around because I was like, that's so surprising. But the other thing they kind of mentioned in there, and then I went out and found a couple some statistic is like I think the average developer in a week only codes like something. It's pretty small. It's like 4 to 8 hours. So I've
yeah,
actually
that's what I'm saying,
so
right?
I think what's real interesting about this whole thing is like, okay, well, if you're only coding, let's say 8 hours, and then and the improvement's only 20%, like, it isn't like in a given week, right? It's not like you're applying that to a 40-hour week. It's just like, you're just kind of cutting off a couple extra hours a week. Now, like any type of compounding number, of course, you take that number over like a really large organization and, every day, that is going to give you some noticeable improvement. I think that
Definitely.
would be important, but it isn't, if you will, it isn't like fire everybody, like lay off the entire staff, everything's lights out. I mean, it's still so I don't I mean, kind of to your thing, your whole point there. It's like, well, maybe um like while it's going to be a huge improvement in productivity, it's still, if you will, it's not like this, if you will, industry changing
But it is.
kind of thing. Go
I
ahead.
mean, a 20% improvement is an extra day a week.
Hmm. But
Yeah,
remember, you're
so
only coding eight, but it's really only the coding side. So you're just coding,
I
maybe you're
know,
coding
but
eight
you,
hours,
yeah,
eight
but you were
hours a
being
week, right?
measured. Yeah, you were already being measured on the week anyway. It doesn't matter.
Uh-huh.
Like, they're like, oh, these developers, they work a whole week and this is what they put out. And now it's like they work a whole week in a day. You and I know the number is actually only 10 hours of development, but now they're doing 10 instead of 8. And so that
True.
is an improvement.
Hmm. Well, the other thing that I thought was interesting, because you were heading before this other study, as I just kind of ran across it, is it said some study said like there was a group of developers that like never coded anything. It was like 0%, and they call them ghost
Well,
developers.
they're
But
just trying to figure out how to get the fonts right in this new AI IDE.
man, I don't know. At the risk of like getting people fired off, it's like, don't we call those people architects? I mean, I'm just saying. I'm
Oh,
just saying. I'm just saying. But I thought, I kind of kid with that. But I'm like, at first, I was like, I think it is kind of unfair to call it ghost developers, because like it is very possible. that someone does spend. I mean, I kind of kid with the architect line, but like there are oftentimes very senior people that are really consulting on like big
Absolutely.
problems all through the day. And you would say they are a developer, right? Because they have those
Yeah.
skills, but they're really applying that. So I always thought like that sort of notion of like, oh, there's these people that just do nothing, that are just like, I don't know what they're doing. They're just collecting a paycheck and not doing anything. It's like, no, they probably are the ones in the meetings doing the code reviews,
Gathering
trying
the
to like keep the junior
requirements.
developers for
Yeah.
like, doing something crazy. And so I was like, I don't know. So that idea is like, that probably doesn't, in the case of AI, maybe it helps them, but it doesn't help them code. Maybe it helps them, if you
But
will,
I think that's,
evaluate things.
if you are a developer, you need to start thinking that's where you're going ASAP. Is gathering requirements, locking down like acceptance and use cases, because this whole agentic AI stuff, like, it's moving away from you getting to use an IDE. To me, when I look at the IDE now, it's like it's for browsing and reading code, and using it to like hop around in code and find where things are. Because a lot of times, a lot of times, it's moving to this future where your job's going to be reviewing diffs, or
Mm-hmm.
making better requirements to give to AI with a better prompt, so it can go off and write your CLI parser, and then you'll come back and you say like, no, 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 it needs more test cases that look like this, and that. Right? You're not doing that in front of an IDE. You're doing that in front of just a prompt. Maybe the prompt's embedded in your IDE, but whatever. You're not traditionally developing. But I still call myself a software developer, at least on my taxes, because I like. How do you explain, a job where you look at code, you explain things to people, you're
Yeah.
gathering requirements, but you're fixing code, but you're not writing it from scratch.
Yeah,
Like,
and I think that's what this whole research is kind of revealing. It's like there's a lot of things that happen that is beyond just writing code. Now, the other thing that made me think in this interview that I thought was so good was, well, it's like, well, why do I feel like this thing is just like, I don't know, 50% or 80% more. And one of the things they pointed out was like that using, if you will, completing tasks with AI can be fun. And I was like, yeah, that's actually true. So I was wondering, it's like maybe that's where like, just as a regular emotional human being, it's like maybe I'm not actually even that, maybe I'm much less productive than I was, but like the fact that I kind of have this like pair programmer person with me, and like that can ask them questions, and they're like they're giving me
well,
ideas, and they're putting stuff in, and then I'm testing, and then they're teaching me something, and then I'm teaching it something. I mean, I know I'm making this sound like a person, but it is like, I think it is more fun, right? It's sort of like there's like
well,
an interchange of like, this is actually more fun than just sitting in front of a blank screen and like having to like, when I forget, like go back to like Stack Overflow, you're like, how do I do that thing? And then you're like, which of these answers on Stack Overflow are right, and which of these are garbage? And and it's like, oh, I got my AI friend, and he's helping me out, and like it's like we're doing a little podcast, kind of fun, and and also too, I can take a break. They never act up. They're exactly, as soon as I come back, they're ready to pick up right where we left off. And I was
right.
like, so I was like, I don't know. I mean, God forbid work is just better because it's more fun, right? Like is that like, and maybe that would be okay. Like that's like
maybe
an okay
maybe
outcome.
maybe Brandon, this is your product manager and you just getting what it finally wants, a developer who does what you ask.
I think that's probably, there's got to be some truth to that. There really
You're like,
is, right?
look at those Gantt charts burned down. Oh, you're doing such a good job, little buddy. Like,
You are 100% correct. That is probably likely the case. So I don't know, but I was like, it's okay if it just makes your job more fun. It's kind of like I said before. It's okay that it's about the money in a lot of cases, and it's okay that maybe this just makes our job lives a little bit more fun, and that's okay too. Like I don't think we have to be sad about that. Now, as we kind of wrap up here, new on the scene, right? Amazon, or AWS Amazon, who kind of like, I don't know. At times I forget about that they're doing stuff with AI. I honestly do. I'm just like, I don't know what's going on.
Of the space.
Yeah, I was just like, so they introduced, I believe it said Kiro. That's how I'm going to say it. Kiro.
Kiro. Sure.
Kiro. Okay, we're going to go with that until someone tells me it's wrong. But they introduced their AI coding agent. And so it's pretty interesting, right? At least on the look of it. So where everyone else is focused in on like, look at all this vibe coding stuff you can build. Amazon brings what I would call like the cold reality of the job back to life. They have, so yes, it can do the code, but it basically, the pitch is that in order to do, if you will, software development, you need to build specs, and then you ultimately need to have hooks. And specs are basically, I don't know, call them whatever you want. You basically are building a product's requirements document. You're essentially building your backlog, and if you will, give Kiro kind of like some level of requirements, and it starts to build out a formal requirements document, which like to me like really feels like how Amazon does stuff. It's like, well, if we're going to build a new feature, the first thing we have to do is write a spec, and then after we write the spec, we got to come up with our best practices for our coding as well as our development pipeline. So like whatever, when we check in the code, we want to make sure all of these things happen. The security scans happen, everything that the testing, the unit tests. And so while I was like, okay, this is, maybe what we need, but I was like, this does not feel fun. This feels
but
like
that's what you just described.
I was
that's
like, I know, but like, I don't want like, it's like,
that's what's coming. That's what I'm saying.
Do I want to like I was like, do I want this thing to generate a lot of specs and then I have to go read all the specs? Like, are people going to be doing, are people going to read the specs? Or are people going to be like, it looks good, implement it? Like, is that really what's going to happen? Like, what do you think?
When you look at like the Uber vibe coders, this is the scenario they're working towards. This is the endpoint of, I gather the requirements. I work with the goddamn customers. I publish acceptance criteria, and I send off some different models to go battle it out to see who can, answer my request. I mean, you might as well call it TaskRabbit LLM. I mean, that's what you're doing. You're saying, who can fix this? And that's where, you get my money. And, today it's Kiro, tomorrow it's Cursor, next week it's Devin, whatever it may be, the loyalty here is going to disappear immediately, because if you look at these things, they share the prompts of how they set themselves up, right? So you'll be like, oh, I like what Kairo's doing, but I'm going to take their prompts, slap it over onto Gemini, and now I'm doing, Kiro Gemini, this, horrible hybrid thing that everybody's doing now. So, I think, previously we talked about how, do you think, we were saying Cursor, but maybe we said Windsurf. Do you think Windsurf's going to become a $10 billion company? And I said no, because they're going to get pulled down like crabs in a pot by everyone immediately copying exactly what they're doing, and developers having no loyalty and no budget. Or, if they have a budget, it's tied up into some enterprise account with Microsoft, so they're buying GitHub, whether or not they like it. Or Amazon, whether or not they like it. And so I think, I don't think we're going to see a $10 billion AI developer tool unless it's an acquisition.
Okay, well, I think that's good. Well, hey, I'm gonna plug it again. Go listen to the podcast I did with Brian Grace on the Cloudcast, because we if you will, we have that debate, and so I think that's. But I think you're asking the right question. So, but I guess where I come down with Kiro, and maybe this is just Amazon a little bit. It's like Amazon kind of puts like eating your vegetables like right up front. They're like, what we are going to give you is the vegetables, because my new love, of course, is Claude Code, right? Because I have no loyalty, like you said. Like, I use Cursor, I still like Cursor, good, I like it. But this Claude Code, I'm just like, it's just like magic. But Claude Code kind of tricks you into doing the right thing, because like Claude Code, you're just in there, you're just like talking to it and like want stuff, and then the next thing it does is spits out like a whole list. It's like, here's the list of all the stuff we're gonna do. Like, what do you think? And then you read it over, and they're like, where do you want me to start? Should I start on one? And you can look at it. So it kind of just builds out the requirements, but it doesn't make you. It's like fun. Like, we're having fun. Like, we're not in like a design review where like, Andy Jassy's like yelling at me because I didn't like, update the spec because of this. It's like Claude's just like, okay, I got an idea. Why don't we just do this list? And it's just like, and then of course you can change the list. You can be like, don't do number 2. Do number 3, or skip this, or do this. And it's like, so I don't know, but I just think Kiro just feels like a little bit too much. Like, you're just giving me too much reality. I don't want to be generating specs, and then all of us have to go to a meeting where we spend the first 20 minutes reading the spec, and then we spend another hour like arguing about it. It's like, no, I'm just with my friend Claude Code. Like, we're just working down a to-do list. So I think, I don't know, there's just maybe like a way it's pitched. It's like, I don't know. I just kind of like, I kind of like the Claude Code level.
I think you're enjoying a temporary plateau on the journey to product management.
That's true. Well, in the end, we'll see. Cairo's so new. I got to be honest. I haven't even tried it, so who knows? Maybe it's awesome. Like I'll try to do it. Although I feel like it's like it's like I kind of move. Like I need like Claude Code. At first, it was sort of like one of these things where I'm not sure I can take on another one. It's like I have a full dance card, but then I'm like. Claude Code's like, but look at all the things I could do,
I
and it
know,
did, and it tricked
and
me in
last
there.
month you were all cursor. That's
I
my
was.
point.
I was all cursor, but now I'm there. But like Cairo's just
And
like
and
it's just
you
bringing
were,
like Cairo's just bringing like a lot of like it just feels high maintenance. It's like
it's
Cairo,
just too real.
it's too real. Like I'm gonna stay with my friends. Cursor and Claude are my friends. I don't know
Until
the friend
everybody
group.
tells you like, oh, the most productive people are the Cairo devs.
I was gonna say like that's true. I will reject it, but I'm like I want to stay with the C's. I don't want the K's. Like you seem a little too real for me. So I don't know. I'll have to carve out some time though because it is unfair for me to ultimately judge something without actually touching it. So I will do that. I will make a note of it. I don't know when. I will. It's like when I need to get better back into shape. And, I need to start eating better. When I'm eating my vegetables, I'll be like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna download this Cairo thing. I'm gonna give it a real shot. See if it helps me with my life.
What you need to do is you build an org chart of the company of the future and you plug in the LLMs where you think they're going to be. And you know who's higher up on the org chart? Cairo.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, on that note, Matt, we have some listener feedback. A lot of it's for you this week. So I wanted to quickly go over some of the things. So Wes recommends the Remarkable e-reader for Matt. You said you were looking for one.
Right,
so I don't know. Is that on your list? Because you said you don't want a Kindle.
I looked at it before, but
yeah, I was gonna say
I'll check it out again.
Jeroen, also from the Netherlands, he recommends I'm gonna call it Boo X.
Yeah, I've seen the Boo X. I think the problem with that is it's not Android, so it doesn't have a Kindle.
I believe it is Android. I think he wrote in a nice email. So I think you need to give that one a closer look.
All these links right now.
I also want to let you know that I sent some stickers to Ron. He wrote us a nice long email. So it turns out he is from the Netherlands and was stationed for a period of his life in Houston. So as he referred to himself, he is living the reverse Cote life. And I was like, you, my friend, will always be known as the reverse Cote. And hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right. I did my best to look up how to say it in Dutch. Unfortunately, Cote is not here to correct us. So nonetheless, but if you would like to get stickers, what you need to do is send your postal address to stickers@softwarefinetalk.com. I will be happy to send you a sticker anywhere in the world. We're going to keep it brief here. There's a lot of conferences. We're only going to go over the conferences Matt's going to be at this week. It's the Sydney Wisdom Meetup, and that's August 7th. Wisdom with a Z. Is that right? Did I get that correct?
That's how we roll. Yeah.
Will there be anything exciting happening there that you want to plug that we need to know about?
It's usually just Wiz customers talking with each other, exchanging ideas, panel discussion, dinner.
Well,
and beers,
I think we just learned,
that
everyone. Matt's like the Wiz marketing team.
Well,
the Wiz marketing team is great. Matt is obviously not part of the Wiz marketing team because that was a lame setup. So I'm going to do it better. I'd be like, yeah, Wisdom is fantastic. We're going to have tons of fun food and drinks there. It's going to be available. Going to hear a lot about what's happening at Wiz, as well as meet a bunch of people that can share some of their experiences. I think that's a better way to do it. And you know what? Maybe we'll turn on that Broadway show video that Wiz did. And who knows? Maybe by then Wiz will have some other wacky marketing thing going. So that's the reason you should go check them out. And then if you're not going to be there, looks like Cote is going to be at a bunch of places. So you can check all of those in the show notes. And I'm sure they're a few weeks out. So we'll go over them on the next show. Now, Matt, having said all that, give us your recommendation for this week.
So my recommendation, I'm still recommending it, but it's changed after last week. So last week I was all prepared to recommend Dune Prophecy. And I was like, I think I enjoyed that. And then I listened to the Geek's Guide to the Galaxy review of the season, and they were like, they just tore it apart. And I was like, I thought I liked that. So my recommendation for Dune Prophecy is, if you like Dune, you will probably like this. Full stop. If you're bought into the mythos and you're like, I wanted to hear more about the Butlerian Jihad and Bene Gesserit. If not, I don't find it super appealing if you're not already steeped in the Dune universe, which is, hard for I mean, I guess that'd be like, jumping into Game of Thrones with the new Rise of the Dragons or whatever they call it. Um, so I'd say if you like Dune, you'll probably enjoy Dune Prophecy. If you like that, if not, you can probably skip it.
All right, a couple things. One, it's House of the Dragon, so no one has to write in and correct us on that. Two, I agree. I think watch the movies, Dune 1 and 2, right? I think I love those
Well,
movies.
if you've read the books, you're prepped for Dune Prophecy because
absolutely. If you've read the books,
there's a lot of fan service in it.
I agree. I'm not saying that. If you read the books, you already know. But if you don't, if you're not sure if you like Dune Prophecy, go watch the movies, which I think are fantastic. But if you didn't like the movies, you're definitely not going to like Dune Prophecy. So that's an easy way to like walk through it. So good recommendation. I like that. I watched that whole series. In fact, maybe I'm going to go rewatch it now that you mentioned it. Also, I will keep it within the same world of movies. Something that doesn't require any thinking like Dune. F1 the movie. It's about cars going fast with Brad Pitt. And it's fantastic. And I would highly recommend that if you're going to see this, please go see it in a movie theater and probably see it in IMAX if that's available to you. I was unfortunately couldn't get to an IMAX, but I still watched it in a nice big movie theater. And it is exactly what you think. It's, if you will, Top Gun on for Formula One or Days of Thunder on Formula One. So there's nothing to spoil here. Like everybody that's ever seen a movie knows it's going to happen, and it's still good.
Yeah,
that's the reason you should go
my
watch
son
it.
went and saw it, and I said, let me spoil the plot for you, knowing nothing about it. And then afterwards, he was like, "You were pretty close."
But the cars are awesome. The
cars are
action is awesome.
Yeah.
The sounds are awesome. That's the reason you see this movie. There's no, if you want some intellectual thought, go watch Dune Prophecy. If you're looking for like, I'm going to spend 2 hours and I'm going to watch some awesome cars driving around fast, watch F1. All right. Well, having said all that, hopefully you enjoyed this episode today. If you'd like to see all the links that we discussed and probably a bunch we didn't, go to softwaredefinedtalk.com/529. That's 529. There you'll see a list of all the show notes, all the conferences, and our recommendations. And with that, we will talk to you next time.
Bye.
All right, Matt, we have to keep the after show.
You run a tight ship, Brandon.
If you will, we have to keep it short because you have to go. But while we were on this podcast, I got the email that says, we're expanding. Check your address now. This is Google Fiber. Okay, this has been literally, I'm going to do a live reveal. If I could share it, I'm going to be like, I have now registered for this Gmail site or this Google Fiber site 8 million times over the last 15 years. So I'm putting in my address right now to see, do dreams come true, Matt? This is almost like the college admissions videos. Like, did I finally get into the Ivy League college I've always dreamt of? Let me see. Is it going to happen? It's like frantically.
So
are they going?
I just
hold on. Don't ruin it for me. I'm going to give my moment. Get updates. Let's see. What does it say? Nothing. Oh, no. Thanks for your interest. Look for Google Fiber updates. No. Then that was spread the word. That's it. Thanks for your interest. Like, what did you get it? What is yours?
No. I just went to my Gmail and saw that I registered in 2013.
All right. Well, like Dune, the Odyssey continues. I thought for sure. I thought this is going to finally be the moment. It's like they even sent me the email. Like they're expanding. Hold on. I'm going to try one more time in this other area, in this other check eligibility. And Google Fiber isn't available for this address. God damn it. Gosh.
Here, give me the address. I'll check my Austin house and see if I need to sell it or not.
This is just, this is tragic. This is a tragic thing that I can't believe it. All right.
Oh my God.
Well, tune in to next week where Brandon continues to complain. I wonder how many times I've complained about not having Google Fiber on the show. It's got to be like the number one topic. Here, we'll ride the after show a little bit longer while Matt checks his address.
Yeah, I don't. Google Fiber isn't available at this address. That's it. Yeah. Selling the house.
That's it. Done. All right, Google Fiber, you let us down again. Don't send us these emails. It's like these teaser emails. All right. Well, listen, thanks for everyone that were watching on the video this week. We really appreciate it. And if you're watching us after the fact, even better. Always subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's great to have everyone hanging out. It's great to see everyone. Had to keep this one short on a tight schedule. Summer, lots of things are happening. That said, we'll be back next week recording around this time, around this day. Stay tuned in the Slack for